course, we got Superman last year, and I really enjoyed what that film did. Again, establishing the universe, having these other touchstones, these other characters. The Green Lantern Corps has already been established with Guy Gardner. We have Hawkgirl. We have Mr. Terrific. We have these other supporting characters on the outside. We have the relationship between Clark and Lois has already been established. She knows that he's Superman, that Clark Kent is Superman. So there's this backstory, this history that's already been established and created. That's been so fun to experience and watch. Just discovering all the little Easter eggs that have been set up in the DC universe. Again, I love the lived-in world that we get with this new DC universe. It doesn't feel so new. It doesn't feel so shiny. It feels like there's a history, and I'm just loving unpacking every little bit, every little morsel we have of this new DC universe. It's exciting. It's interesting, and that's something that the DC universe also really needed. The DCEU, again, just the change it had, just constant changes it had in leadership and direction, not knowing if they were going to, at the end of The Flash, go with Michael Keaton and then have him continue on as Batman, building up to this Crisis on Infinite Earth story, and then deciding, no, that's going to be kind of dead on the water, so they restructured it. Or rather, actually, before that, all right, we're going to refocus, restructure. Instead of just getting rid of everything, yes, Keaton will come in as Batman, but we're also going to reestablish Henry Cavill as Superman, so we're going to change some stuff up. Okay, never mind, we're not doing that at all. Now we're just going to basically kill off the DCEU. We're starting from scratch. We're starting over. That was the issue, again, with the DCEU, and while I love elements of the DCEU, again, going back to this, the DCU just has this opportunity to do something different, to do something that even the MCU hasn't been able to do. It's pouring more into the comic book aspects of these characters, and not just the comic book aspects, but stuff that's been inspired and adapted from the comics. I'm thinking a lot of the DC animated universe, Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, all that kind of stuff. I can definitely see the inspiration that James Gunn is taking from that side of the DC universe, from the DC comics, stuff that's been adapted from DC. He's taking inspiration from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, definitely applying that to Superman. Other influences, I'm seeing Smallville, and just a quick sidebar on Superman and how that has kind of been perceived, how I perceived that film. At first, it was a little jarring when you got the Jor-El that was being portrayed by Bradley Cooper in this, and that he's actually telling Superman to be the conqueror of the earth rather than its protector, rather than its savior. So you have that change, and I didn't like that at first. And I still am not crazy about that idea, but then you have inspirations like the show Smallville. And while the Jor-El on Smallville also isn't necessarily saying Clark go conquer Earth, but he wasn't the most kind father either. He was a pretty harsh character, at least at the beginning of the show and throughout a good portion of the show. That's how Clark perceived him, as this kind of just cruel overlord. And rather than relying on that part, his heritage in Smallville was completely linked, his upbringing was completely linked to Jonathan and Martha. And that's what we're pointed to in this Superman, is he kind of has that discovery of, what's my purpose as Superman? It's not my Kryptonian heritage, it's who my parents are, who they raised me to be. And so I can see those parallels of where James Gunn got his inspiration for how to portray this Superman. It's definitely heavily influenced by Christopher Reeve. I can even see elements from Henry Cavill's Superman, but I definitely get a lot of Smallville, a lot of Superman the animated series, and then the comics, of course, as well. There's a lot of these different influences that I can definitely see within this version of Superman. And again, I think it was a great first film for the DCU. Definitely establishes a lot of the DCU already. We don't have to do as much world building as the Marvel Cinematic Universe had to do with Iron Man. There's so much more world building that was done here, but it was also done effectively because it doesn't feel like it detracted from the story of Superman either. So I really liked that element of what James Gunn did with this. Hey everyone, thanks so much for checking out that clip from my new podcast, Talking Movies and More. It will be intercut with the podcast we're doing called The Assembly Cut I'm doing with Hayden Smalley, and I hope you stick around and check out that podcast as well. Be sure to check it out here on YouTube or your favorite podcasting platform, either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Go down in the comment section, let me know what you thought of the topic we discussed here today. Thank you so much for checking this video out. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified when new videos go live to this channel. When you do that, it always helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it. Hope you all have an awesome and a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.